Hey Patriots, we had a great morning in Tucson, Arizona today. We went out and met with the Patriot groups there. We had a beautiful meet and greet, talked about being in it for the long term and not just one election cycle.
What am I doing to get the vote out? I talked to members of the American Legion post up there and talked to them, trying to convince them to vote for the Tea Party, like I just mentioned before.
Make phone calls concerning the Tea Party and getting back to the Constitution and the right ideas that we need for our country.
And then the Tea Partiers there were prepared with walking lists and maps, and we went out and did what all great Patriots are doing this election season. We walked precincts and talked about our values.
All right, well, are you a little bit nervous about it, or what are you thinking right now before you go to your first house?
Yes, kind of nervous, because I think, you know, the expectations, what we'd like to accomplish are great, but we feel like we might screw up.
Well, you know, I don't think you can screw up. You're just going to talk to people. You're talking to them about what's on your heart and in your mind, and you're speaking from your heart. Now, what about you? What are you thinking before you go do your very first house?
What am I thinking? No, I think I'll do okay.
The list is really important because it goes through and it shows who the people are who actually vote. So going through the list, it makes it possible for you to get onto the houses that are swing voters.
Next, we're off to Mesa, Arizona, and while Jenny Beth got started on a Q&A with the folks in the park, I was off to the studio with Nat'l Cavuto to answer questions about our post-election plans for holding elected officials accountable.
So if your candidates were faced with electing John Boehner to be Speaker in the House, if that were the case, Republicans took a majority, Mitch McConnell to be the majority leader in the Senate, if that were the case, they got the majority, would you say bad choices both?
You know, I think the answer is we're looking for people who have a history of good leadership, and we're going to count on that freshman class to work with their constituency.
So what about the two guys I just mentioned?
You know, I think they have a history that is questionable. So I think we're going to be looking for leadership that can lead us in a new direction in America.
So you'd be disappointed if those guys were put in charge?
Well, I think what I would say most directly is that doesn't sound like it represents the kind of change the American people are looking for.
Oh, man. We're looking at interesting times. Mark Meckler, thank you very much. Good seeing you.
Thanks for having us, Neil. I probably got us in a little bit of trouble.
I heard what you said.
He pushed me on the issue of what do we think about John Boehner as Speaker of the House and Mitch McConnell as Majority Leader. No. Sounds like there's a pretty good consensus here, right? Yeah. So remember, our job is really to do what you guys want us to do. I knew exactly what the consensus is. At the same time, you pick your battles at the appropriate time. So that's not something that we had chosen to fight on, but Neil wasn't going to let me get away without answering the question. So I first said, you know, well, Americans just want the right kind of leadership. He kept pushing. And so eventually he said, so are you telling me that you don't want McConnell and you don't want Boehner as the leaders? And I said, well, I think that's correct. I think we're looking for a new kind of leadership.
Good for you. They wouldn't be our first choice.
Good answer.
Good for you.
But I just want you guys to know, I mean, you see, we get put on the spot. All we're going to always do is tell the truth. We're going to say what we think you guys would say if you were sitting in that chair. That's my job.
I was just saying the other day that I think government is so not hands-on, so it's really nice when you get people who take the time out to actually come down and even speak to a group of just a handful of people. I think that means just as much as being spoken to at a big rally. I really appreciate this kind of more intimate setting and the Q&A that it's enabled by them just coming down and chatting with us.
So we're here making signs here in Arizona. This is really important. You know, this is one of the hallmarks of the movement for the Patriots. From the very first day, from February 27, 2009, we've been making our own signs, and it sets us apart from all other movements in the country. You can go to all these other rallies, you're going to see all these pre-printed signs, but from journalists to politicians, they comment that our folks are out there making their own signs.
What are we gonna do?
Yeah!
Woo!
Finally, we arrived in Flagstaff, Arizona. It was a very patriotic group. The crowd was so large they had to continually bring in extra chairs. And we had a very interactive session with an engaged group of patriots.
But one of the biggest things is how misrepresented the Tea Party is on campus. Just this semester alone, one of my professors, right after Glenn Beck had his Restore American rally, Tea Party was represented as crazy right-wing Christians that are wealthy and they don't want to pay taxes. Is that what we are? I don't think so either.
It is so important for students to get involved in the conservative movement. Because I was in a class just the other day, a sociology class, where students think that the government owes them just because they are an American citizen. They believe that they are entitled to education and health care and all these things that the government can't even afford. They can't figure out how to take care of themselves, much less take care of the population. NAU conservatives, we are definitely trying to get out the vote. We've handed out Arizona voter information guides. We've gone out and we've spoke to people. We put on movies on campus. We have speakers on campus. We try to keep people educated on policies and not the parties. That's our main goal.
We had a great Tea Party event here. It's one of their regular monthly meetings, and we answered tons of questions. They've already been getting out the vote for months or weeks, and they've hit over 3,000 homes so far. So guys, what are you going to do in the next 7 days?
Get out the vote! Yeah!
Please join us tomorrow as we continue the Tea Party Patriots Get Out the Vote tour across the United States. We'll continue visiting great Tea Party Patriot groups across the land, and on November 2nd at 5:30 p.m., we'll be at the Capitol on the West Lawn planting the flags and reclaiming the Capitol for the citizens of the United States. Follow us on teapartypatriots.org.